You're listening to the Love Unplugged podcast, episode 41. Today we are chatting about stepping outside our comfort zones and going after our dreams because we can do anything we set our minds to. We also talk about learning to say no, outsourcing so you can stay in your creative zone, and setting boundaries as a business owner when you have young children and a relationship to nurture. So get comfy, grab yourself a cup of organic tea, and let's dive on in. You are listening to Love Unplugged, a podcast focused on love in all its forms. I'm your host, Jessica Frigon, hopeful romantic and founder of Project Love. I found that too often love is set aside or taken for granted, and we tend to forget how to care for ourselves and our important relationships in the day-to-day chaos. So let's slow down, tune in, and begin our journey of rediscovering love. From honest heart-to-heart conversations with real couples and knowledgeable guests to deep dive reviews of new products and services that will help you feel beautiful inside and out. If you're looking for relatable advice or wanting to be inspired by real-life love stories, you've come to the right place. Without further ado, let's get to it. I am joined by Nina Lillian Sinclair, the creative force behind Lillian Photography, an incredible fine art wedding photographer here in Victoria and Vancouver, BC, who has not only had her work published in several magazines and online publications, but who is also the recipient of many industry awards. I definitely admire her work, and I am so excited to be able to chat with her about her entrepreneurial journey and all that she has learned throughout. So welcome, Nina. I am so honored to have you as my guest, and I'm so excited to learn all about your story. But before we start, for those that don't know you yet, I would love for you to share a little bit about who you are.
Hi. Well, first of all, thank you so much for that introduction. You're so sweet. Wow. Definitely feeling the love. A little bit about me. Well, I grew up in Chilliwack, but I live in Victoria now. I firmly believe that there's a place your heart is born and a place where your soul just longs to be. And sometimes those two places can be the same for some, but for me, it was Victoria. The people here are they're so kind and down to earth, and not to mention it's absolutely gorgeous here. So that's a plus. I have two beautiful little girls, Aria and Mila. They are just the most incredible souls. They inspire me every day and just fill my life with so much love. And being a mom, obviously, is one of the best things that ever happened to me. So that's awesome. And then I also have one fluffy, smiley puppy dog, and of course, the love of my life that I raised my family with.
That's a lot of love in that house.
I know, right? I'm one very lucky girl. And then I guess a little bit about me, as you can tell, I'm a huge softie. I'm a really empathetic person, and I feel everything around me, I guess is the best way to put it. I cry with my brides. I laugh with them. I think it's a big reason why we connect so well with my clients. And one of the reasons why I really love shooting weddings so much, because I love love, and it's such an incredible thing to be part of. I mean, who wouldn't love to be around people getting married all the time, right?
I totally agree.
Yeah. So I guess, I don't know, I guess that's a little bit about myself.
Wedding photography is so difficult because you only have one first kiss.
Yes.
You only have one toast. They're not going to repeat it if you missed it. So there's a lot of pressure, I feel, with that.
It's true. Yeah. It's a fast-paced event. Every moment is so important, and you can't miss a thing, but you have to be on at all times, because you're not just there to capture things. You're there to kind of like interact with the guests and make sure that you capture things in all forms of lighting. And so, yeah, there is a lot of pressure. And I think when you first start, you really definitely feel that. But I've been shooting for 10 years now. So you get to know as the day goes along, you get to know how to kind of work with all terms of lighting. I have a team, I have a second shooter with me to make sure that we have all angles covered and that absolutely everything is captured. So that way we don't miss anything. So I think
that's awesome.
Yeah, it gets easier as the years go by.
So what exactly inspired you to become a photographer? Did you grow up with a camera and just loved shooting all the time? Did you always want to be a photographer, or did it just naturally kind of happen?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I guess I've always been an artist. Like in high school, I used to paint and sketch and work with clay. I always imagined myself as a businesswoman, I guess, per se. But for some reason, I always thought that would be like in the form of like a lawyer or an architect. I'm really glad I didn't become a lawyer, because knowing my heart now, I never would have survived. I probably would just be doing pro bono work all the time trying to help everybody. So I never would have been a very good lawyer. But I guess, yeah, photography kind of came in stages for me. I remember in high school, I had like a little point and shoot camera, and I was always playing around with my friends. I remember like I'd get togethers and stuff and little parties. I'd always be the one snapping photos of everybody. And I never really realized that I was just naturally capturing the event side from the beginning. And then when I was 18, I was actually doing freelance work as like a fashion and portrait model. And I was finding I was getting all these ideas for concepts. And then I realized that I wanted to create art rather than be a subject in it. And a photographer on site just let me snap a few photos with his DSLR, and right then and there, I was like, I need one of these. And I was working at a coffee shop. So I saved all my pennies and bought a camera before I bought a car, because I wanted it so bad.
Oh, wow. Priorities.
Yeah, right? I know. That's how you know that you really love something. And then once I got a camera, all my friends joked that I just disappeared because I only wanted to hang out if they would let me photograph them, or if like I had my laptop in hand. And I was just so passionate about it that I was staying up till 3 a.m. just learning everything I could and playing around with photos I had taken that day. And then I guess the wedding side came after I had moved to Florida. I was specializing in fashion work out there, and someone asked me to second shoot a wedding with them. And I was like, sure, like I love. This seems really fitting, right? And then I remember the exact aha moment when I was like, this is it. I was shooting a wedding, and the whole day was so beautiful. And I was so happy that my cheeks hurt from smiling the entire day. But there was this moment at the end of the night when we were capturing all the fun on the dance floor, and Hey Julie, the song came on, and all of a sudden the bride and groom were just lost in their own world. And without any direction, all their family and friends just surrounded them in this circle of love. And they were all singing Hey Julie at the top of their lungs. And the bride and the groom just danced in the middle and cried. And the room was filled with so much love. I was like sobbing behind the camera. And I think that was the moment when it hit me, when I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
That sounds like an incredible moment.
It was. Yeah, it was really beautiful.
Now, what about being an entrepreneur? Was that something that you had in mind as well? Or did that come later when you just naturally realized, okay, I'm going to have to run my own business if I want to be a photographer and do this?
Yeah, that was actually, I guess, the harder side of it all. Like I said, like I always thought I wanted to be like a businesswoman per se, but I fell in love with photography for the art of it, and I was just naturally an artist. So running a business and the things behind the business side was actually the harder part of it all. You don't realize that, okay, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, but there's all these other things that kind of go on behind the scenes in order to make this work, right? So being an entrepreneur, I love being able to put my heart into something that I feel really passionate about, and that I have the ability and the freedom to create art that I love. That's such a wonderful and freeing thing. And I'm very thankful that I'm able to do that. I love that I can constantly challenge myself and create new goals and grow as a person with my business as it grows. And also the relationships and the connection that it's brought into my life. I mean, I've met some really amazing people through this industry. I'm sure you probably found the same within yours too. The connections that you get to make are so just within itself something to be so thankful for. So that's just amazing. Yeah. And being surrounded by people who are so passionate about what they do and so driven and willing to stop at nothing to get there because they love it so much. I think that that's just an amazing thing too.
What aspects of being an entrepreneur do you love and dislike the most?
Oh, yeah. That's easy and a hard one, I guess. I think in the beginning stages of being an entrepreneur, there's a lot more things that you struggle with. Like owning a business and starting a business is really hard. You have to put in a lot of hours and a lot of work, and you never know when your next paycheck is coming in or how you're going to afford that next piece of equipment or how you're going to be able to get to the next level. I mean, I started when I was 18. I was working as a waitress when I decided to start my business, and I just made the decision to jump in the deep end and give it my all, which now being an adult is probably not the smartest thing in hindsight, but I just knew so badly that this is what I wanted to do. And I just was finding I would be working my day job and I couldn't stop thinking about photography and just everything that I wanted to do and where I wanted to be. And I was like, if this is what I want, then, I've got to give it my all. So yeah, I just kind of left my waitressing job and I was like, this is it. I'm going to be a photographer. Like, yeah, so there was a lot of struggle in the beginning there, but it was well worth it. It definitely was.
Did you have anybody who was an entrepreneur around you that helped guide you a little bit or maybe gave you a little insight as to what the world of being a business owner would be like?
Yeah, no, which probably would have been a great thing to have, like a mentor. If I could give any advice to somebody, it would be that if you realize that this is something that you love and that you want to do, finding somebody to mentor you or doing something along those lines would be great. Luckily, because I had started off on the other side of the camera, I was surrounded by a lot of other photographers just in general. So I did definitely get to see what it was like. And through that, I had made a lot of photographer friends. And actually, one of them had become one of my best friends. And we moved in as roommates later down the road. And so it was kind of nice to have somebody who was going through the same things at similar times and that we could talk about it and be there for each other and in the same household. So that was really great. But yeah, I just, I kind of taught myself and just learned through trial and error of just doing a lot of little projects with friends and things like that. And then I did second shoot for a few really great photographers. But yeah, I just kind of grew on my own and learn as I went, I guess.
So, when it comes to business, in order to stay in your creative zone, are there any aspects that you outsource because you just don't like doing them at all and it's kind of hindering you from being creative and being able to do what you love most?
Yeah, that was actually something I learned this year. I always thought you see these really successful, wonderful photographers, and you don't realize that a lot of them have a team behind them. You think that they're just doing it all by themselves. And when I quickly realized that, and any great business has an incredible team of people who have different strengths that come together to create this really well-rounded experience. So this year I hired on a wonderful office admin and assistant. Her name is Sarah, and she is just amazing. I was always fearful about finding somebody who would really care about my business and my clients the way that I do because it's such a big piece of you. And so that kind of deterred me for a long time. But once I found Sarah, she was just incredible. She puts her heart and soul into everything she does. She really cares about the people that she's working with me. And that was just kind of like a light bulb moment where I was like, okay, this is possible. And it makes your life so much easier because now I can have that trust that she's going to take care of my correspondence and my bookings, and she's going to be great with my clientele when she's talking to them. And I can really focus on photography and creating art and all of that fun stuff. And then we have a few more people joining our team in the process that I'm training right now. So handling different things like social media and stuff, they're going to be in there. So yeah, it's going to be really great. It is a wonderful thing once you're ready for that step.
I definitely loved working with her. She's so nice to work with.
Oh, thank you. I'll let her know. Yeah, she's wonderful. I think she's very heart centered and very kind, which is a big thing for me. And I think that's why we fit so well. So yeah, thank you. That's awesome. I'll tell her that.
So with competition, I mean, every industry has a lot of competition and whatnot, but how do you stay true to yourself and block out all that noise so that you don't get off your path
Yeah,
creatively or really in any way?
yeah. I think it's all about mindset. When you first start, you see everything as competition because you're struggling to make ends meet, right? And as you grow, you realize that that's not the case, that we're all a community, we're all in this together, everybody's chasing their dreams, and we all have goals. And that we all actually lift each other up and help each other grow. I mean, some of my most cherished friendships are photographers in my area that I guess if you look at it the wrong way, could be my competition, but the truth is we're more like a little photography family and we're all here for each other, and we all have different styles and different arts and different ways of capturing things. And the clients that are right for you will be hiring you for your art form and for the way that you capture their story and stuff. So I think that there's really enough for everybody if you're in the right mindset. And I think that's all kind of what it's all about.
Definitely. When you're looking at it from a competition view, you are in a scarcity mindset, but
Yeah,
really there's so much out there for everybody and you just tend to
it's
forget
true.
that.
Yeah, and I think it's also easy when you're looking at it the wrong way and kind of in the wrong mindset to be like defensive about everything and kind of protective of your business because it's something that you hold so close to your heart. But yeah, it's really in fact it's the opposite. And once you realize that, it's a really wonderful thing to kind of be a part of, and all of that just kind of just disappears and you realize that that's not the case at all.
Definitely. So throughout your journey of being a business owner, has it triggered any insecurities or maybe limiting beliefs that you maybe weren't aware that you had to work through?
This? No, I mean, I promised myself I'd push myself out of my comfort zone with public speaking and teaching and put my face in front of the business more so people could really connect with me and instead of hiding behind it. So this was a really good step for me. And, I'd always thought public speaking or just, interviews or teaching workshops was something that would make me really nervous. But going through this, I actually really love it. It's really great. And you're really easy to talk to. So that makes it awesome.
That's good to
hear. Yeah. But I think, when anybody starts a business, they have that fear of, can I really do this? I mean, when you're young and you're looking at what you want to do and you kind of put your dreams up on that pedestal, you have that fear of, okay, this is what I want to do, but can I get there? Can I do this? And, can I be everything that I hope or that I want to be for it? And I think, as you work your way through it, you realize that you can and that you're truly capable of anything. And as long as you just, take it one step at a time and you're willing to kind of be open to growth and make those mistakes and learn as you go and just stay true to your heart and what your intentions are and focus on what you love to do and what you're in it for, then those fears kind of slowly dissipate and you just got to keep focused on that. And I think every time you conquer a fear, you realize more and more like, okay, I can actually do this and it's not as scary as I thought it was going to be. Like, this is actually really great. So,
I mean, public speaking, I'm not super great at it, but speaking into a microphone itself, that's my weakness.
Yeah.
My ears go red. I start to fumble. It's just such a nightmare. So starting a podcast, I was like, how am I going to do this?
Really? Oh my gosh. Good for you though. Like that's just like a proof right there, right? Like
that you can do it.
Yeah. And I mean, you're so great at it. I mean, look at everything that you've accomplished and done. So that's such a wonderful thing and kind of ironic that it's one of your fears, but you're so great at it.
That's so kind of you. But it's just a testament to just don't think about it. The more you sit and think about it, you're going to talk yourself out of it.
Right?
You're going to give yourself every reason not to do it. Every reason why you can't do it.
Yes.
So just move forward. Don't think about it and blaze through.
It's so true. And I think once you push yourself out of the comfort zone once and you realize that you can reach new heights and you prove to yourself that you're capable of it, it gets easier and easier every time. And then all of a sudden you realize, okay, yes, I'm kind of nervous about this, but this is what we need to do. I know I can do it. I've done it before and we're going to get through it just fine. It's kind of like when you're pregnant and you're about to become a parent, right? same thing almost. Right?
It's coming whether you want it to or not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you meet your little baby and you're like, oh, okay, this is what I was meant to do. I was meant to be a parent. It all just kind of happens and you realize you're great at it. And yeah, I think it's, I don't know, so kind of the same, I guess.
So have you ever felt like your identity was linked to any aspect of your business? Maybe it's the number of clients you got, the level of success, or status in the industry, maybe even how you're viewed by your peers?
Yeah, I think I always keep replaying it back to the beginning because it's such a good comparison of when you first started and how I was feeling and then where I am now that I am very confident in my business and what I'm doing. I think when I first started, I definitely saw that as a sign of success, having a lot of followers, having a big clientele base, the things that you're doing and all of that really related to the success and the status in your industry. But as I'm where I am now and 10 years down the road, I'm finding that it's actually more based on, just being true to yourself. And if you're really happy with what you're doing and you feel like you're in the right place and you've got a good amount of clients to kind of be where you want to be, then that is success in itself. And, if you're doing what you love and you're creating something that you love and you feel passionate about it, then none of that stuff really matters. You just got to stay true to your heart and what your intentions are, and everything else just kind of falls into place. And I think when you're doing something for the love of it and not for the wrong reasons, then none of that really matters anymore, right?
I saw this post by The Wild Ride. It was about how she looks at success. So she wrote down everything that she wanted her day to look like that defined her success. So if she was able to meet all those things like wake up early, have a meditation session, be able to connect with a friend, be able to put in X number of hours into her business, be able to focus on the aspects of the business that she loved.
Yeah.
All that versus the number of followers, the number of clients you get, the amount of money your business is making.
Yeah.
It's more so about what's truly important to you and what that looks like and feels like.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I think all of those things, it's like when you get focused on like the material aspect of life, you're always going to be chasing something, right? Like you're never going to have enough followers. You're never going to have enough clientele. You're never going to have enough money. But when you're focusing on like personal goals or things that, are true to your heart or your intentions or, what you love, then it's easier to kind of keep your head in the right mindset and realize that, I guess being present in the things that you're accomplishing and celebrating those things and just, I think that's exactly it.
What is the biggest thing you've ever struggled with in your business from start to present? Like, what has been your biggest block that you've had to overcome?
Ooh, I think it all comes in different stages as the business grows. I think in the beginning was how I said, the beginning stages, just going through the starving artist period, growing, learning, everything that needs to kind of go into the business side of it. I think now it's really just balancing it all because being a mom and a business owner are both two of the most rewarding and incredible things. And I'm really, really thankful and happy that I'm able to do both, but they're also very exhausting and demanding and they need all of you, right? So balancing it all has definitely been, I guess, the thing that I'm kind of navigating right now. I guess if I were to kind of look at a pivotal point or a moment last year when my daughter was about 6 to 8 months, she went through a period where we realized that she had some very intense allergies and she was constantly breaking out into hives. We were in emergency all the time. And that was such a hard moment because when you run a business, if you're going through something personal, you can't just say, oh, I'm not coming to work today or I need to take stress leave, especially if you don't have a team yet. So I think trying to navigate through that while not letting my business kind of, I guess, fail or drop or however you would properly word that was kind of a hard thing. But I really realized that if you surround yourself with the right community of people and you're really attracting the right clients, that they're all in it with you and that if you have the right people behind you that, they're very supportive and understanding. And if you do go through that moment, now I have a team. So that's great. I've set myself up that if, something were to happen, that it's well taken care of. But I was very lucky in that moment that my clients were truly amazing and that they were all very understanding of what I was going through. So I think that's really a big thing too, is it all kind of boils down to the community and the clientele that you're attracting. And then also again, like learning and setting yourself up so that you have all these little safety nets so that if, life kind of happens that you're prepared for it, I guess.
Have you ever gone through exhaustion or burnout because of the business and you're trying to balance everything else in your life as well?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I think the wedding industry in itself, I'm sure every business is physically and mentally exhausting and balancing it all. But I find the wedding industry itself is such a fast paced thing. And as you said, it's such a high pressure moment that it's very physically and mentally exhausting. When I'm shooting 10-hour weddings, I'm usually sprinting and up and down and making sure I don't miss anything. And you tend to only eat like one meal a day because it's so fast and busy. So burnout, if you're not careful, can happen very easily. So I think you really got to make sure that you are taking care of yourself and recognizing and listening to your body and stuff like that. But I think when you love what you do, that it doesn't really feel like work. And I mean, I love shooting weddings. So when I'm in that moment and I'm sprinting or I haven't eaten lunch or like I keep a stash of granola bars in my camera bag just to make sure when I'm on the go so I can keep everything going. But it doesn't feel exhausting and it's so worth it and you love it and you're kind of running off like this really happy high that is just awesome. But I think like in hindsight, hiring a team was a really smart decision because the business got so busy and it grew so much that I wasn't able to do it all by myself anymore. So as we talked about before, hiring a team was such a great decision with making sure that I'm not spreading myself too thin or having those burnout moments. And yeah, I think just being smart about what you can take on too, like realistic with yourself is a big thing because you don't want to end up running yourself into the ground and then resenting something that you love so much, right?
So when you're going through exhaustion or burnout, how have you gotten through that?
I think probably the best thing I could say is like taking a step away for a second, taking care of yourself, doing something for yourself. Sleep is pivotal. I definitely realized that. I sacrificed that for a while, just trying to keep up with it all. And I realized that you can't pour from an empty cup. In order to be the best mom that I can be and the best business owner I need to be, I also have to take care of myself too. So I think when you're realizing, okay, things are getting to be a bit much or I'm exhausted, just taking a step away and recognizing that, learning from it so that you don't keep repeating the same pattern. And again, being realistic with yourself of what you can keep on. But I think just taking a moment for yourself, getting some rest, and then coming back to it full force is a big thing.
What does a typical day look like for you juggling not only the business, but,
Yeah.
the two little ones, a dog, a relationship, household responsibilities? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's chaos, but it's a beautiful chaos. I mean, I wouldn't have it any other way. I think the biggest thing that I've learned is to take it day by day. Schedules are a wonderful thing when you're running a business, but it's also not the easiest thing when you have two babies that are, 2 and 4, I guess. Everything is kind of, on their schedule. So, I think the biggest thing that I've learned is approaching it as a team. Me and my husband, we both love being parents, and we're very lucky that our careers allow us to do both, and that we're able to be present with our daughters and do something that we love. And I think, recognizing that we're in this together and that we both want both aspects in our life is a big thing. So honestly, the biggest thing I've learned is to set work hours, make lists. Those are a wonderful thing when you run a business because you have so much going on in your brain. And then you can just kind of put it all down on paper, put it out of your head, prioritize it, focus on what you need to do that day, being realistic about what I can accomplish in a day in terms of, tasks and time frames and goals. And then also, again, knowing when to take a step back and kind of have a breather and then come back to it. And yeah, I think it's just about taking it day by day and being present in those moments with my kids. But then when I'm doing work, I kind of am in my office and my husband is with the girls and I get my work done and then I close the door and then I can be with my family, right?
One of my biggest learnings lately has been that I don't need to respond to everything immediately.
Yes.
Before, when I would get a message or an
Yes.
email, I would just feel the need that I needed to respond right away. And it was so exhausting because I never felt like I was able to shut work off.
Yes.
People don't respond back to me immediately, and I don't expect them to.
Yeah.
So why am I putting that expectation on myself?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that that's, where you can get into that burnout period too, because at the end of the day, we're human beings and we have needs and we have feelings and we need certain things in order to take care of ourselves. And your clients, whatever you're doing, they want you to be happy and healthy and be able to give your best self forward. And in order to do that, you need to take care of all things that you need in your life, right? And take care of yourself. And they're going to appreciate it so much more if you, take those couple hours because you're in the middle of something. For example, when I'm at a session, I give my clients my full undivided attention. And then when I come home, then I can give whatever in that terms my best self too. So I think it all kind of comes into play in that sense and your clients appreciate that. And they also understand, that if you're busy, that's a good thing too, right? So as long as, you're still giving them the customer service and the attention that they deserve, they're gonna totally understand if it takes, a couple hours for a reply or what have you.
So what does boundaries mean to you? I'd love to get your perception on what that is exactly and what it means in your life.
Yeah. That was actually something that I just learned this year. I had a really hard time learning how to set boundaries for myself because as a mom, you want to be the best mom that you can possibly be. And as a business owner, I wanted to be the same for my clients and I wanted to give both of them my all. And I wasn't willing to sacrifice any time with my girls. I wanted to be fully present with them and not miss anything. And again, be the best mom that you can be, but also the same with the business. And I was finding that, I was stretching myself so thin and I was sacrificing myself, and I wasn't sleeping and I wasn't taking care of myself properly. And I think boundaries through all of that and learning through all of that for me is learning about, okay, what am I capable of? What is putting too much on myself, and not spreading myself too thin, and knowing when to say no to certain things, and having that workspace where, again, I set my work hours, I come here, I do my work, and then I close the door, and then I'm fully present with my family, and kind of keeping that separation between it all so that I truly feel like I can balance it all and have those boundaries there. And then just being in tune with myself, recognizing when to say no to certain opportunities or projects because I would be taking on too much. And I think for us as parents and being a mom, finding that team balance was huge for us in the term of boundaries for each other, because you and your partner in it together, and you both want to be present in your children's life and be really there for them, and again, be the best parents you could be and experience life with them. But you also need to make time for each other and to support each other's passions. And we both love what we do. I mean, he's a firefighter and he's so great at it, and he loves what he does, and I love that he has that. And we want to make time for each other to be able to really pursue our passions, but also take care of ourselves and have those personal things for each other. Like, he goes to the gym, and I just recently joined spin, just like having that stuff for yourself too, I guess. All of it is kind of plays into boundaries.
I love that you touched on saying no. That's something that I feel we all struggle with so much as we're trying to grow our business. And when opportunities come, we feel like we need to say yes to everything. And that's just not the case.
It's so true. And it's a hard one to learn because, again, when you love what you do, you want to do it all, right? And get excited, and you want to say yes to everything. But I think that's the biggest thing about boundaries, is recognizing that it's okay to say no, and that you truly can't do it all, and that you only have so many hours in the day, and that you need to recognize, what's going to be the best for you, and what is okay to say no to sometimes, and what's, like I said, taking on too much, right?
There's always that fear of missing out when we say no.
Yes. What do they call it? A FOMO or something? Yeah. It's real.
There's so many opportunities out there that if you say no, it doesn't mean that that's the end. It's not like it's over.
It's true. 100%. Yeah. And that's the thing, is you're never going to be able to do it all, and you need to be okay with that, right? There's always going to be something else. And I think if you're true with your intentions, and the right things will come your way at the right time, right?
So I want to know what self-love means to you personally.
Yeah, I think a lot of really good questions. I think being true to myself, recognizing what makes me happy and what I need in my life to find that balance. I keep saying it, but I love being a mom. My girls are my world. But I also love my career, and I have a lot of passion for that as well. And balancing both those things can be really hard, but they're both really rewarding. And I think I kind of touched base on the last question, but recognizing what you need. I can't sacrifice things like sleep. I need to take care of myself too in order to do it all. You can't pour from an empty cup. And in order to be the best mom and best business owner, I need to take care of myself too. So making time for things like sleep, really important. And just, recognizing all the things that fill my cup in different ways, like friendships, making time for myself, how I talked about joining spin. Fitness was such a huge part of my life before I had kids, and I didn't realize that it was something that I had sacrificed. And I just went to my first spin class yesterday, and it lit a fire inside me that I didn't realize what I had been missing. And that I needed that. And I think also just being present in the moments, like being present with my kids. When I'm with my kids, I'm with my kids, and that's, fills my cup in that way. And with my husband, and just having things with myself too. For example, I have always, like, giving back is such a big thing for me, and photography has been such a huge part of my life. And I think that it can be such a gift for those who need it the most. Memories are such an incredible and cherished thing. And I've always done little soul projects, I guess I call them, like giving back to those who need it the most. Last year, me and an incredible community of vendors put together a wedding for a couple who was diagnosed with an aggressive form of cancer. He was given 3 months left to live, and his last wish was to marry the love of his life. oh, I'm going to cry. And they were going to have a small elopement just, in their home or in the hospital. And I heard about it and I was like, give me 24 hours. I'll see what I can do. And I just kind of like put the word out to everybody that I knew and sent some emails. And within a day, we had a team of amazing industry people who were willing to donate their time and so that they could have everybody that they loved. And within 12 days, we put on a wedding for 120 people for them so that they could have all their family and friends there. And I think stuff like that is so important. I'm sorry, that totally got me all emotional.
You got me tearing up as well.
I'm sorry. But yeah, I just, I think finding purpose in what you're doing is so important. I love photography and I love shooting weddings and it's such a great thing that I'm so fortunate to be able to photograph. But I also think that there's this side of it that if you have the ability to give back in situations that are really important and could really use them, then it's a huge thing. And so me and a few people put together this organization called The Kind Collective. And it's going to be launching in the fall, but we are putting together a collective of professionals and businesses who all come together to donate their time and create these memorable moments in all forms to give to people who may need some light and some love and some memories during difficult times and progressive conditions. And that's been something that's been so dear to my heart. And I think that for me is a big form of self-love because it gives me purpose along with being a mother and running a business. It also, something bigger than me to give myself to, right?
I love that because we are all here to serve. We are all here to be there for others.
Yeah.
It's not just about us.
Exactly. And I think, if you're always constantly working for yourself, then you get kind of lost in, what your purpose is. And, you need to be able to, if you have the ability to give, you should.
There's nothing better than being able to help someone else that needs it.
Yeah. Exactly. It's true. Yeah, 100%. I agree.
I definitely can't wait to see this come out in the fall. I'm going to keep my eyes open for it and we'll definitely share it because it's such a great idea.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. Yeah, I'm really excited. I think it's going to be wonderful. It's been really well received just with like the kind of surprise little teaser that we've given out. And so I'm really, really thankful for everybody who's sent a lot of love and everything about it. It's been awesome.
So my last question, if anybody wants to learn more about you, where can they connect with you?
Ooh, honestly, I hate to say it, but Instagram, it's the best place. I mean, our websites are so hard to constantly update with everything. And Instagram is just like such a great place where you can connect and you can see the most updated work, but also connect with, the people behind the business and the human beings running it and the people that you're looking to kind of get to know. So I honestly love it. It's brought a lot of wonderful people in my life. And I think it's the best place to kind of see, everything that's going on, I guess.
Well, thank you, Nina. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your story and your valuable advice with us.
Yeah.
I'm just so happy and so honored to have had you on the show.
Thank you so much. This was honestly amazing. You're great at what you do. And it's a lot less scary than I thought it was going to be.
I'm Jessica, and thanks for tuning in today to Love Unplugged, the podcast. If there are any questions or topics you'd love answered on the show, head on over to www.projectloveco.com and share your request with me. If you haven't yet, go to iTunes and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast and share it with a loved one. Your feedback means the world to me, and the community we've created is what fuels our discussions here. After all, this is all for you. Join me next time for another unplugged conversation.